are just about through the first week of the 2025 NFL season with just one game remaining on the schedule, and that is, of course, our beloved Chicago Bears taking on the Minnesota Vikings tonight at Soldier Field on Monday Night Football. It's going to be a barn burner. It's Ben Johnson's first game as head coach. I'm excited. You're excited. We're all excited. The only person who's probably not excited right now is Tyler Dunne. Am I wrong?
Who is Tyler Dunne?
Tyler Dunne is a football journalist, according to his independent blog, Go Long. He has worked for other publications, I believe, like USA Today or the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, which is part of the USA Today. He was a beat reporter once upon a time for the Green Bay Packers.
Oh.
Now he has a self-published blog, much like Matt Taibbi would if you're in the news world or people like that. And this is a popular thing to do nowadays, right? Like we all are independent journalists these days, even you and me, Nika.
So he's on a Substack. Okay.
So he's on Substack and he has this blog called Go Long, and it's independent, and he did a in-depth look back at the 2024 Chicago Bears, all the way from the pre-draft, before they drafted Caleb Williams, till Thomas Brown was the interim head coach at the end of the season, when it ended in pretty much a debacle.
Okay.
So this article was released on the Friday before the NFL season started this week. In fact, you could argue that the season had already begun, because Thursday night we had the Eagles playing the Dallas Cowboys in Philadelphia. Nevertheless, this comes out on a Friday afternoon, before the season starts.
So it's a news dump.
And, well, you could make that argument, but the fact of the matter is this article and this three-part series paints Caleb Williams and Ryan Poles, by extension, in a very, very, very negative light.
A hit piece. Okay.
It was a hit piece. And just to be upfront about it, it was sourced by 32 anonymous sources, according to the article. So not one person who was quoted in this whole entire thing had the audacity to put their name on it. And, oh, by the way, there is no mention, there is not one sentence that says Caleb Williams and or Ryan Poles declined to comment for this story.
So it's a one-sided piece.
He didn't reach out to them.
Right. So
At
it's
least
just one-sided
that
story.
we know of, that he made know of. So I'm only left to assume that he didn't reach out to them. And when you do a hit piece on two people like this and throw them under the proverbial bus, I guess, as you call it, or make them out to be the bad guys in an article like this, and you refuse to say or to get them their thoughts about it on the record, you're a coward.
Yeah.
You're not doing honest journalism, Tyler Dunne. You are not. So what are the main takeaways from this article, Nika? Well, according to Tyler Dunne and his 32 anonymous sources, Caleb Williams disrespected coaches, walked away from them at times. Basically, what? Telling them F off? I'm walking away. I don't care what you have to say. He had sloppy fundamentals. He was forgetful. He had confusion with the wristband he was wearing that reminded of his play calls and his play reads. Very poor work ethic, according to these sources. Was a bit of a daydreamer, falling asleep or at least losing place of where they were in meetings. He would skip film and weight room sessions. Wow. He had bad reads from the defense, poor communication with his receivers, and all of this led to chaos on the field. But the major claim is that Caleb Williams is dyslexic, and he withheld it from everyone before the NFL draft even happened. And it's like this big conspiracy or something.
Okay, but where is the proof that that's what happened? Where is the proof other than 32 anonymous sources? That is not a proof.
Yeah, I mean, and it seems like the author didn't get that bit of information from anyone, and he just decided to like woefully volunteer that as part of his thorough analysis. And I want to be clear, this is a guy that has some credibility and some respect as a journalist.
Not anymore, he doesn't.
I don't know if he does anymore, because a lot of the mainstream media will not touch this thing.
Exactly. What does it say about that?
I heard one call on 670 The Score this morning. I listened to about 2 hours of it between our walk and between getting ready for the show today. And they took one phone call on it. They talked about it for maybe 5 minutes, David Haw and Mike Mulligan. But that was it. The Bears beat reporters, Courtney Cronin, Dan Weirderer, Mark Grody. I haven't seen a peep about it on social media, not one comment in their podcast or hostings. So no one in the mainstream media is touching this. What does that tell you about it?
It's a one-sided story, and it's a hit piece.
It's
That's
a
what
hit
it says
piece.
that.
The timing,
And the
3
timing
days
is
before
awful.
the season comes out. I mean, the point of an article like this, by the way, is to sow doubt amongst all the new people that are around the Bears now. They have a bunch of new players in their locker
Sure,
room.
absolutely. But
They have
also,
a whole new head coaching staff and coaching department as a result of it.
So who are the 32 anonymous sources? Disgruntled old employees that got let go, or the
Of course.
coaches that don't no longer work for the Bears
As
organization?
I just said, there's a bunch of new coaches in the building. That means there's a bunch of old coaches outside of the building. And who do you think are the sources for this article? Now, I'm one of the types of people that believes where there's smoke, there's fire. And I don't want to pretend that Caleb Williams is like 100% innocent with everything that happened last year. But
Or Ryan Paul,
I don't
for
want to
that
think
instance.
Ryan Poles is 100% innocent. And we will talk about him before we get out of here, because this article made mention of something that's very near and dear to my heart. But nevertheless, the timing is really, really suspect when you consider that he's the former Green Bay Packers beat reporter. Like, you don't think that that person is motivated to tear down like their arch rival in any way? And it just feels really sleazy. Thank you. Feels really sleazy. I'm not a fan of the anonymous sources, and I'm really the biggest red flag for me though is not reaching out to anybody else for another side of the story, particularly Caleb and Ryan Poles.
even if they don't want to talk to you,
Right.
At
They would
least
tell
you write
you
it down.
they refused, and
Yeah.
you can put that statement in your
Yeah.
article.
and you cover at least your
But
ground.
it doesn't seem like you did that. And I
No.
think whatever people think of Tyler Dunne before this article, I think you are onto something. Like, he might have destroyed his own credibility, at least for a while. He might have to like kiss the ring in order to get back into the good graces after this. But yeah. So what is the other side to the story, Nika? I thought we should at least talk about that before we get out of here, because there is another side to this story, and we've heard other sides to this story that are pretty factual. Seth Wickersham wrote a whole book about the pre-draft process from Caleb Williams' perspective, because his father gave an ESPN journalist access to him and his son. So we know a lot about what happened in the pre-draft process. We know it was a disaster. We know they didn't want to come here. All we know is when Caleb Williams came here and met with Ryan Poles, his dad was not with him. And when he came back from that meeting, he said, "Dad, I want to go to Chicago. I want to make it work there." So does a guy that goes home and tells his father, "I want to go there and make it work there," does he then show up and act like a punk and disrespect people and have a poor... That doesn't sound like the same thing to me.
It doesn't.
I'm sorry. I know actions speak louder than words, but this is the man's father who made him give up McDonald's in 5th grade.
But you also have to remember who were the coaches back then. It's a totally different dynamic,
I
and
know.
you have to take that under consideration.
I'm just pointing out the there's two sides to every story.
course.
And when we get this part of it in the Seth Wickersham book, like, "Dad, I want to go there and make it work in Chicago," you know already you're facing an uphill battle. You know you're going against your father's wishes.
I know, but ultimately
you know
it's
that
your
you have to work that much harder.
No,
you do.
No.
You tell yourself that, though.
No,
you
it's
do.
your decision because it's your life.
It is, but you also, when you are making a decision like that and you are trying to prove yourself against other people's advice that you're close with, you're going to work extra hard
Of course,
at it.
I agree with
That's
that.
all I'm
but
trying to say.
Absolutely, that's true. But what I'm saying is, like, he doesn't need his father approval to go to
I
work
know.
for the Bears.
I'm not making that argument.
Oh, I thought you were.
All I'm saying is no. All I'm saying is that if you make a decision like that, in light of the fact that other people are advising you, like, "No, you should be doing this. We should do this," and you say, "No, Dad, I want to make it work with the Bears,"
Yeah,
End-
you're
end
gonna
of
put extra
story.
effort.
Then and so how would that translate to then showing up with poor work ethic and falling asleep and missing and skipping weight
Okay,
room
all
sessions?
right.
Come on, that doesn't like
It's,
jive with
it
me.
does not. You are spot on.
That's all I'm trying to
the
say.
thing is, sometimes you have a bad day. You might be late or whatever,
Maybe.
but that doesn't make you that bad of a person because of
Doesn't.
one day.
It doesn't make it the truth.
Right, exactly. And we know from Caleb even answering that nobody showed him films.
Exactly.
So there's two sides.
We
to
had the Seth
everything.
Wickersham book. We had the like legit ESPN journalist with his scandal already. So and some of this from that, in my mind, contradicts a little bit of what's in this report. That's all.
Okay.
By contrast, wouldn't Ben Johnson, the most sought after, coveted head coach in like a generation, be really careful with maybe which team he aligns himself with for his first head coaching job opportunity? And out of all the jobs he could have possibly had, including going to Las Vegas and being on Tom Brady's team with, him being part owner of the Raiders now. And they wanted him. We know they wanted him. The Bears were the choice. The Bears were the place where he ultimately inked the deal. And money
it's a lot
talks.
closer from Michigan to Chicago.
Sure, but I mean, don't deny the weather out in Vegas can be quite accommodating for year-round training, Nika.
I know, but it's. I know. I love the desert, so whatever.
We both do, but look, I think it speaks volumes that Ben Johnson did choose to come and be the coach of the Bears and work with Caleb Williams, because I don't think if he felt Caleb wasn't up to the job that he would have chosen this job. Like we said earlier, it's the most important relationship on the team, the head coach and the quarterback. So, all right. Well, one of the things that did come out of this article from the unnamed sources came from the more business side of the football, which is inside of the general manager meetings when it came to scouts and evaluating players and who the Bears should be drafting. And Ryan Poles did not come out looking very good in some of this, at least according to the unnamed sources. He was criticizing other players like Drake May and maybe even like having joint laughter in the room at some of their plays in college. He would ignore a lot of advice from other scouts about like, well, what about these plays, with some of those same players. This is all just according to the article, by the way. Now, I've criticized Ryan Poles a lot for not doing what I consider to be due diligence before the 2025 draft. And even if you are 100% sure that you're drafting Caleb Williams no matter what, it's not an excuse to not interview other quarterbacks. And one of the things we always talked about was Jaden Daniels having this proprietary VR technology from a German company that he started working with when he was still in college. And they were originally developing this for soccer, for European football. And instead, the technology winds up pivoting to becoming Jaden Daniels' personal VR training. And it's their proprietary technology. And I always felt like Ryan Poles not interviewing more quarterbacks, including Jaden Daniels, prevented him from getting this firsthand knowledge about this proprietary training technology that could change the landscape of NFL quarterback training forever, right?
Sure.
I've always felt that was a big problem. Well, it turns out this article mentions the Jaden Daniels VR training headset and that Ryan Poles learned about it after the draft. And he wanted to get it for Caleb Williams, but that the Bears didn't want to invest in it because they didn't think Caleb Williams would use it.
Did they ask him?
Nowhere in the article does it say that they asked him, that he denied that he would use it. It's just all implied and assumed that he wouldn't. And that's the story that's being told here.
Well, that's a BS story. That's only wishful thinking.
It's really, really sad to me, right?
Yeah.
Like whenever you make assumptions in a hit piece, it's not going to fly well with me, and there's plenty that he wrote in here that is worth standing on its own, I guess, because it's quoted and sourced, but like to start taking these leaps now to say like, well, he wouldn't have used it. It's
You
like,
don't know that.
you didn't buy it, so you don't know.
You don't know
furthermore, you don't know if you could even buy Jaden Daniels's because it's proprietary, and I don't think this company sells it to just anybody.
No. They have a contract with the Washington Commanders to use that software or whatever, hardware, whatever it is.
They probably consider it their competitive edge. And, sooner or later, other people are probably going to figure it out. Other people that play for the Redskins are going to go to other teams and be like, well, this is kind of how it worked. And they'll be able to explain it to software engineers. And sooner or later, someone will crack the nut and it will be available for everyone. But the fact that Ryan Poles didn't get firsthand knowledge from Jaden Daniels himself on what it does for him and what it allows him to do and why it's so important for him to get through his reads so quickly, like
that's on Ryan Poles.
We talked about it. One of the things that it does is it plays the game back at double speed. And just like you listen to audiobooks at like 1.5, 2 speed sometimes, like you can start to process information faster. Your brain can keep up with the book pace a lot easier.
Absolutely.
All of a sudden, you're starting to process the NFL game 2 times faster than everyone else. Holy shit. It's going to feel so slow to you. It's going to be like Neo in the Matrix.
You do. You feel like you can read the gameplay a lot quicker. And you adjust. So the more you practice like that.
I would like to see the criticisms of Ryan Poles aimed squarely in that direction. Because him not doing that interview and taking advantage of learning about that firsthand from that kid, even if you still drafted Caleb Williams.
Yeah, even if you ask the question, Caleb, later, would you try something like this? We have it. I want you to use it. As a coach, as a GM, I'm making you use it, and you will use it. This is part of your job.
Absolutely, and I just and we've never heard Ben Johnson talk about it, or
he probably didn't know.
Well, who knows? But the point of the matter is like that's how new this technology is. You know, it's proprietary.
It's probably a lot better.
By one of the best young quarterbacks in a generation. A quarterback, by the way, who played in the playoffs at Detroit last year and beat them and looked calm doing it in the process. In the middle of a hostile environment of the best team in the NFC last season. All right. Well, I don't really want to give any more airtime to this hit piece. I just wanted to go through why it's a hit piece and that there are other sides to this story that somewhat make me think twice about everything that's being written here. I'm usually a where there's smoke, there's fire guy, but I just wonder what that fire is on the other side of the smoke. Is it more with the disgruntled employees who were fired, or is it more a reflection of a prima donna quarterback that exists in Chicago that no one else knows about, including Ben Johnson?
Look at the hit piece on Shedeur Sanders for this year draft.
Yeah.
Similar situation.
Could you imagine if it came out that Caleb was dyslexic before the draft and he would have fallen like Shedeur Sanders did?
Yeah, it's possible.
That's crazy to think about, right?
But dyslexia should not be looked at as a hindrance. It's something that you have to work through, but it's not a handicap.
No, of course not. It doesn't make you any way like cognitively
impaired.
It
does not.
Thank you. So I just feel like that's a major, major leap to take in this, and it was a low blow.
Keanu Reeves is like dyslexic, and he does just fine as John Wick.
He's good at bullet time too.
Exactly.
I'm just kidding.
I'm
Matrix
dyslexic.
joke.
I know how to operate.
I didn't want to bring light to it, but since you did, like, you don't have a learning disability.
No.
It doesn't impact your ability to process information. You play Destiny with me on the PlayStation. You play video games.
Yeah.
If you had a learning disability, you wouldn't be able to keep up. You wouldn't be able to keep up.
No.
I'm sorry. So, yeah, it's not what people think it is. It might require, like, I have to think about this a little bit before I do it. But once it becomes part of your muscle memory, it's habitual. You don't think about it anymore.
Exactly.
That's
the more
all.
you practice, the better you get. That's all there is, as with anything.
All right. Well, let us know in the comments below. Did you read this article? Did we miss anything big that was revealed? And should we have spoken about it? Like I said, I don't want to give too much air to something like this because I just don't think anything that has 32 anonymous sources and didn't reach out to the other side for comment is worth your time reading.
Might as well just put 100 sources.
Might as well.
Anonymous.